Information into an unclassified environment and which investigators knew. All this as the Justice Department launches a new inquiry into whether the Clinton Foundation engaged in any pay-to-play politics or other illegal activity while Clinton served as Secretary of State. And Fox News has now learned that House investigators will get access to all remaining investigative documents in unredacted form as part of their Russia inquiry. According to a letter obtained by Fox News, there's a deal between Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein and House Intelligence Committee Chair Devin Nunes as the California Republican seeks information that could shed light on whether that controversial anti-Trump dossier was used to open the Russia probe and justify surveillance on Trump campaign officials. Now, in this letter, Nunes writes, quote, "It is my hope that this agreement will provide the committee with all outstanding documents and witnesses necessary to complete its investigations. The committee is extremely concerned by indications that top U.S. government officials who were investigating a presidential campaign relied on unverified information that was funded by the opposing political campaign and was based on Russian sources," end quote. Among the witnesses agreed to in the letter, you know these folks: FBI agent Peter Strzok and FBI lawyer Lisa Page, FBI General Counsel James Baker, FBI head of counterintelligence Bill Priestap, and Bruce Ohr. And guys, take a look at your watches. It's January 5th, only 5 days into the new year. Pace yourself, DC, you know? Wow.
Yeah, that was
been a busy year.
That with the new Steve Bannon book coming out. We've got so much to talk about. We're going to have more on that coming up in the next half hour. All right, Todd, thank you so much. All right, now to extreme weather. The East Coast bracing for round two as the deadly monster storm that we've just gone through moves out, and now brutal, face-stinging, freezing cold air is moving in, and it's moving in fast.
Sounds so nice, doesn't it?
Right.
The below-freezing temperatures coming just hours after the powerful system unleashed havoc, leaving millions of Americans paralyzed. The violent storm blamed for at least 4 deaths and left Boston drowning in historic 15 feet icy floodwaters. You can see chunks of ice just floating there.
Boston
Crazy.
got really hit. Next up is this Arctic blast, which is already hitting right now. Wind chills that could break records this weekend. We're talking as low as minus 40 degrees. Let's get straight to Janice Dean. This is really cold.
It is, and I'm concerned about folks that perhaps don't have power along the East Coast. The storm is gone, but we're going to be dealing with record-setting temperatures as we head into the weekend. There are your current wind chills, below zero on all of these areas across the map. So it's going to remain cold not only today, but tomorrow and into Sunday. So there are your wind chill advisories. And by the way, those wind chill advisories and freeze and frost warnings extend as far south as Florida. There's New York. Okay, so here are your morning lows for Saturday, 4 Saturday, and then 0 on Sunday. Look what happens, though. We get a little bit warmer as we get into next week, maybe 42 by Friday, so a little bit of a roller coaster ride. Past 36 hours, you see our nor'easter, one of the strongest storms we have seen in the Atlantic in many years. It is out of there, but again, did a lot of damage. We saw snow totals over 17, 18 inches. And again, those freeze advisories, just want to point out, as far as South Florida. Yep. But the good news is we're going to get a little bit of a warming trend as we head into next week. We just have to get through this weekend.
All right, a couple more days. We could do this, everyone.
And then Rob will be in a swimsuit.
That's right. How'd you know? Janice, thanks so much.
I just know you.
No border wall, no DACA deal. President Trump making his terms for a bipartisan deal absolutely clear in a critical meeting with top Republicans.
Marianne Rafferty joins us live from Los Angeles this morning with where both sides stand now. Marianne.
Good morning, Rob and Jillian. Well, President Trump's first order of business in the new year coming with a double-edged sword. Our commander-in-chief meeting with leaders from both parties in a legislative chess match over immigration reform and border security. So here's where both sides are at. The deadline to extend the Obama-era DACA program isn't until March 5th, but Democrats are demanding to pair it with a government spending bill, which has a fast-approaching deadline of January 19th. But President Trump remains firm on his stance: no deal without a border wall and ending chain migration.
Any legislation on DACA must secure the border with a wall. It must give our immigration officers the resources they need to stop illegal immigration. Crucially, the legislation must end chain migration. It must end the visa lottery. It would be really nice to do it in a bipartisan way, okay?
Senator Lindsey Graham backing the president, saying he could make history if the Democrats are willing to budge.
Obama couldn't do it. Bush couldn't do it. I think you can do it. Be good for the country. Everybody's got to give a little bit.
This must be done now. Leader McConnell seems to think there's no urgency. We disagree strongly. Every morning they wake up with a pit of fear in their heart that they will be deported.
So where do we go from here? The administration set to meet again with Democrats next week with only 11 days until the deadline to keep the government funded. Jillian, Rob?
All right, Marianne, thank you so much.
It is sentencing day for the 5-time deported illegal immigrant acquitted of killing Kate Steinle. Jose Inez Garcia Zarate could get up to 3 years behind bars for the only conviction handed down by jurors, a felony for possession of a firearm. His acquittal on murder and manslaughter charges sparked nationwide outrage after he admitted to accidentally firing the gun that killed Steinle on a San Francisco pier in 2015.
All right, for the first time in more than 2 years, North and South Korean leaders will sit down for formal talks on Tuesday. The rivals will discuss the Winter Olympics and how to improve their very strained relationship. This comes as former Vice President Joe Biden claims that the U.S. has never been closer to nuclear war, but he also admits President Trump inherited this crisis.
What I worry about, and I've worried from the beginning, is about fundamental miscalculations. This is not a business deal. We know that he inherited, as we did, an incredibly difficult problem in North Korea. One of the two things we spent most time briefing the new incoming administration about.
Well, the U.S. also announcing it will delay annual military exercises with South Korea until after the Winter Olympics.
President Trump sending a message to all NFL kneelers using this powerful photo. It shows a young widow and her infant laying in the front of a grave of a fallen soldier with the caption, "This is why we stand."
Well, that is really something. He retweeted this photo saying, quote, "So beautiful. Show this picture to the NFL players who still kneel." This past week, 19 players kneeled, sat, or stayed in the locker room during the national anthem.
It is just about 10 minutes after the hour. The book being billed as a White House tell-all rushed to store shelves 4 days early after a legal threat from the White House.
And go ahead.
And the mainstream media eating it all up. But remember how they treated Steve Bannon just a few months ago.
I mean, some of these men are masters of the dark arts, of political dark arts. And that's what people should understand, for example, about Steve Bannon.
Well, now the liberal media has given him a lot of credit. Our next guest calling out the hypocrisy there.
Plus a deadlocked election that puts the balance of power in question, decided by the luck of the draw. We'll show you who finally won. First, some of your pictures in the snow yesterday.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
Welcome back. At least 18 classified emails sent from the account of top Hillary Clinton aide Huma Abedin have now been found on the laptop of her estranged husband, Anthony Weiner, who right now is in jail. Judicial Watch revealing 5 more classified messages among those released by the State Department last week.
These are classified records that James Comey and his colleagues at the FBI knew were on the Weiner laptop, but didn't think serious enough to pursue criminal charges against Abedin or Clinton for allowing this egregious abuse of their trust that the American people placed in them.
Well, now this is all coming back full circle in the investigation. According to the watchdog group, Weiner's laptop also contained classified material from Abedin's BlackBerry as well. Stay tuned on that.
One of the first faces of the Trump presidency now admitting he made mistakes. In an interview with HLN's S.E. Cupp, former White House press secretary Sean Spicer opening up nearly 6 months after he left his post.
There were times where I screwed up. There's no question about it. I honestly went out every day to do the best job I could for the President of the United States, who gave me an unbelievable honor, and to basically do the best job I could for the American people.
Spicer pointed to his comments comparing Syrian President Assad to Hitler and his exchange with reporters over the crowd size at Trump's inauguration as his biggest gaffes.
I mean, some of these men are masters of the dark arts, of political dark arts, and that's what people should understand, for example, about Steve Bannon.
His appointment is sparking outrage among Democrats, moderate Republicans, and hate crime watchdog groups.
What was the hiring process to get this guy on board? Did they do a background check?
All right, the mainstream media has assailed Steve Bannon for a long time now, the entire time that he served as the president's chief strategist. But after his bombshell comments that are coming out in this new White House tell-all that the White House is denying has any factual basis at all, well, now the media is changing its tune about Bannon.
This war of words between the president and his chief strategist, Steve Bannon, is nothing short of stunning.
You now have Steve Bannon, the guy that they all would have had their arms around and had their thumbs up taking pictures 2 days ago. Now Steve Bannon is talking about treason.
He's somebody who wants to be seen as the architect of the success of Donald Trump's campaign. It was failing and it was flailing before Steve came aboard and corrected it.
Well, here now to react to the mainstream media's coverage is contributor at The Hill, Kristen Tate. Kristen, thanks for joining us this morning. Look, you just heard the comments, and there are many articles out there. You're listening to it. You're reading it. There's an article from CNN posted last night after 10 o'clock, and it says, this is bigger than Trump versus Bannon. It's about Trump's capability. What's your reaction to all of this?
You know, I wish I could say that I'm surprised by the media's bias, but I'm really not. You know, since day one, the liberal media has exhausted itself trying to vilify Donald Trump and everyone who works for him, including and especially Steve Bannon. The media tried tirelessly to marginalize Bannon and never seemed to care about anything he had to say until he allegedly made a comment that could be used to make Donald Trump look bad. Now, overnight, he seems to be a media darling. But, you know, of course, the media doesn't actually love Steve Bannon. They still have a seething hatred for him. They just love it when Republicans fight with each other. And this Trump-Bannon feud is being used to undermine the president and is being used to draw the spotlight away from Donald Trump's recent achievements. I mean, this should have been a great week for the White House. The Dow reached 25,000. Layoffs are the lowest they've been since 1990, and a new report shows that 250,000 jobs were added to the private sector last month. But the media doesn't want to talk about any of that.
Well, Christy, can I ask, I mean, do you think that the president kind of dug his own ditch here with this thing? Because I think a lot of people often wondered what somebody like Steve Bannon was doing in the White House to begin with. I mean, he's awfully far right. I mean, he just didn't seem like a very credible person to be in that position. I think it made a lot of people nervous, the same way if you had a communist in Obama's ear, you know, during his tenure, it would have made a lot of people nervous. Those people on the far outside, you know, sections of politics, you know, it's a little strange, isn't it?
Well, look, I mean, Steve Bannon was a brilliant strategist. Everyone has to admit that he was instrumental in getting Donald Trump into the White House, and he has a very unique understanding of Donald Trump's base, being the head of Breitbart News. And if Trump wanted, you know, the media to focus more on his achievements, I don't think he did himself any favors with the blistering statement that he released personally attacking Steve Bannon. You know, Trump is a fighter. His supporters love that about him, and that's one of the reasons that he won in 2016. But moving forward, the president's got to be careful to focus his fire on, you know, the obstructionist Democrats, not on his former chief strategist who helped him get into the White House. And at the end of the day, Bannon and Trump, they both want the same things. They're on the same team. They believe in the America First agenda. They want to secure the border. They want to keep Americans safe. So I think it would be better for conservatives and the nation as a whole if these guys buried the hatchet and move on. And to be honest, I think most Trump supporters, they don't want to hear about this feud. They want to hear about building the wall, repealing Obamacare, and strengthening the job market. Well, so I think it would be best for the country if we could just move on with the dialogue. And to do that, Trump's got to focus on the issues.
Well, I guess number one is let's see how quickly President Trump and Bannon are able to move on. And then number two, how quickly the media is able to move on from this. Kristen, thank you for joining us.
Oh, they will hang on this for a long time. This will be the story.
Yeah.
All right.
It is 20 minutes after the hour. President Trump slamming Democrats after disbanding the voter fraud panel. So did they only fight the commission because they need votes from illegal immigrants? Our political panel is on deck to debate it.
And after a year of fake news claims and bad press, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg's New Year's resolution is to fix these problems. And the internet instantly making a mockery of this all. Carly is here with some very funny responses this morning. Good morning, Carly.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome back. Mark Zuckerberg's New Year's resolution is making big news. He's promising in 2018 to really try hard to do his job.
Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7 is here with the Facebook founder. Not getting a whole lot of likes on this comment. What happened here?
The good old New Year's resolution conversation. Did you guys make one?
Nope.
Oh, nope, neither did I.
Keep it.
That's because the three of us are perfect, right?
No.
Yeah.
It's just too much to try to do.
From it, I know, right? Absolutely. Well, each year, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg does make a very big New Year's resolution. And this year might be his most challenging yet because he is vowing to fix Facebook. In a post written on Facebook, Zuckerberg says, "My personal challenge for 2018 is to focus on fixing these important issues. We won't prevent all mistakes or abuse, but we currently make too many errors enforcing our policies and preventing misuse of our tools." Now, Facebook has been criticized for not doing enough to fight online abuse. They were also blamed for helping spread fake news aimed at influencing the 2016 presidential election. So some people on social media are skeptical, like Maya, who says Zuckerberg's 2018 personal challenge for himself is doing the work he should be doing as Facebook CEO anyway. And another Twitter user says, "I'm ready for Facebook to be over." And Mark tweets, "My personal challenge for 2018, is to build a spaceship to launch Zuckerberg into the sun."
What?
Yikes. That's some tweet.
Okay.
Well, Zuckerberg did make
with
a
that.
New Year's resolution last year. It was to visit people in all 50 states. This year, though, it looks like he's focusing on his day
work.
job.
Okay.
He's a young billionaire. He's doing just fine.
Yeah.
Mark, don't worry about it.
That's right.
Chelsea Handler, what's new?
Yeah, well, okay, so President Trump yesterday tweeted about voter ID laws, saying, as Americans, you need identification, sometimes in a very strong and accurate form, for almost everything you do, except when it comes to the most important thing, voting for the people that run your country. Push hard for voter identification. And then Chelsea Handler responded saying, that must be why it's easier to buy a gun in some of these states than it is to vote. But you love guns and don't want black people to vote. So that's a double win for you. Wow, that comment got a lot of reaction on social media. Rachel says you can't just say things like this without any facts. Please name a place it's easier to buy a gun than vote. Drew on Twitter also says, I don't know what's more sad, the fact that you actually believe this or that you actually have people agreeing with you. So we're talking voter ID, and it's getting pretty feisty.
Like Chelsea better when she was funny.
Very controversial.
Remember those days when she had the show when it was funny? Yeah. All right. So this is just the craziest thing.
Yeah,
This is how the
speaking of
election
voting.
came down to picking a name out of a bowl. Yeah.
Okay, so the winner of the hotly contested Virginia House of Delegates race was decided yesterday by picking a name out of a bowl. Take a look at this.
The winner will be in the first canister. The winner of House District 94 is David Yancey.
Yay, I guess. Okay, so the Republican candidate, David Yancey, won after he was tied with his Democratic opponent. Nash on Twitter says, bowls are known for being unhackable. And a guy named Thunder Snowflake on Twitter says, that's how we do things now. It just keeps getting more
Thunder
surreal.
Snowflake.
I know. Thunder Snowflake to end the week.
That's
good stuff. Do you think that all races should be decided by picking a name?
I would be enraged if I had lost that, but who knows?
Yeah.
Carly,
Thanks, Carly.
Thanks
Happy Friday.
All right, you too.
It is 27 minutes after the hour. The book being billed as a White House tell-all rushed to store shelves 4 days early.
Yeah, people lining up overnight to get their hands on this explosive book. Griff Jenkins has a copy. Hey, Griff.
What? That's right. This is the book the White House doesn't want you to read, so we read it for you. We'll tell you everything you need to know, as well as the fallout between the president and his chief strategist. That's coming up.
Good Friday morning. We are back with extreme weather, the deep freeze after the storm.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough weekend. Millions of Americans waking up to blistering cold temperatures after that monster winter storm, the bomb cyclone unleashed on the Northeast.
I mean, you can just see the images
Right.
in the video here from Boston, drowning under icy floodwaters as the bone-chilling Arctic blast moves in.
And Laura Ingle, sadly, is live out in these ridiculous temperatures. She's in Ronkonkoma, about an hour east of here of the city, and people are trying to dig out. It's almost too cold to do that, Laura.
It is, in fact. Hi, Rob. Hi, Jillian. And you know what? That is really going to be the headline of the day. The snow has stopped falling, but these plummeting temperatures are making things so bitterly cold and so dangerous. And this is really the heart of the matter, the cleanup, right? So you've got these huge piles of snow, but this stuff right here that's been all packed in by all the plows, it's going to turn into essentially one large ice cube throughout the day. But that's why these crews are going to be working so hard throughout the day. They're asking people to stay off the road as much as they can so they can get to this stuff and get it out before it turns into these big icebergs. Now, we have some video we want to show you of the scene where you guys are in New York City. I'm sorry, we've got some video here in Suffolk County to show you that some of the people in some areas got up to 16 inches of snow yesterday, and the roads made it nearly impossible to drive. We were out trying to drive around in it yesterday. We had whiteout conditions. We had to stay put where we were. Almost 70 vehicle accidents by midnight in this county alone. And if you thought driving was bad, getting out of the region on a plane was even worse, and still is. FlightAware reporting over 5,400 flights canceled in the U.S. yesterday, 2/3 of those flights originating from New York, the New York area, and Boston. So we've got a long day ahead of us with people digging out, trying to get out. But of course, staying safe is top of mind for everyone. Back to you guys.
All right, Laura Ingle, thank you very much for braving those conditions to bring us the latest. Well, it is out. The book being billed as a White House tell-all on store shelves now, 4 days early. Folks lining up overnight to get their hands on Fire and Fury as the White House slams it as sad and pathetic. Griff Jenkins joins us live from Washington, D.C. with what the president is saying, and you've got the book, Griff.
Well, Jillian, good morning. The president doesn't like it, and it's certainly causing a ruckus here in Washington, and that storm even couldn't stop it from going on sale last night, despite the president's lawyers trying to stop it with that cease and desist letter sent to the publisher. And look, don't expect anyone at the White House to buy it. Sarah Huckabee Sanders just blasting the book is nothing more than fantasy.
There are numerous mistakes, but I'm not going to waste my time or the country's time going page by page talking about a book that's complete fantasy and just full of tabloid gossip, because it's sad, pathetic.
The fallout between the president and his former chief strategist continues as President Trump responded to a question about Bannon's numerous disparaging remarks against him and his family, alleging that Don Jr. was treasonous and unpatriotic.
I don't know, he called me a great man last night, so, you know, he obviously changed his tune pretty quick. All right, thank you all very much. Thank you. I don't talk to him. I don't talk to him. That's just a misnomer.
He may not talk to him, but it appears he has a new nickname for Steve Bannon. The president tweeting last night about the author's alleged access, saying, "I authorized zero access to White House, turned him down for interviews, never spoke to him. This is full of lies, misrepresentations, and sources that don't exist. Look at this guy's past and watch what happens to him and Sloppy Steve." Now, the president's lawyers continue to threaten legal action against Bannon for his many statements, as numerous reports suggest that important financial backers of Bannon may be distancing themselves from him. And finally, one high-profile attorney says he has it on authority that Bannon himself may be considering legal action against the president for defamation. Rob?
Okay. Sloppy Steve. We got a new nickname. That's the upside to it all. All right. Thank you, Griff. All right. President Trump sounding the call for voter ID laws to fix the rigged system one day after disbanding the fraud panel. The president taking to Twitter to blast Democrats for refusing to hand over essential data. So did the left only fight this fraud commission panel because they need illegal votes? Joining us now to debate is liberal analyst Kathy Areu and Fox News contributor Steve Cortez. Guys, thanks so much for coming in this morning, and nice to have you both in the same place.
Yes.
Kathy, I want to start with you.
Okay.
Why do you think this panel has disbanded at this point?
Well, it was a sham. I mean, it started in May, and they couldn't prove anything. They spent months, and they couldn't come up with any voter fraud.
And they were tasked with finding, I guess, millions of fake votes, right? Enough to get the popular vote back on Trump's side, right?
Right, but it never happened.
Okay.
So Hillary did win the popular vote, and they never were able to prove otherwise. And this was Bannon's idea to begin with, so it makes